The Virginia Arts Festival is wrapping up, and as usual, toward the end of the festival, Masterworks in the Making are in the offing. The ninth annual John Duffy Composers Institute has, for many years now, invited young composers to Hampton Roads to be part of the festival and to be part of the creative process, and very active in that over many, many years has been one of America's leading composers, and that is Libby Larsen, and she is with us today to talk about the Masterworks in the Making. First of all, you have been with the Composers Institute for how long now?
5 years now. Mm-hmm. I first came as a guest composer to work with the young composers and their works, and came back 3 years in a row in that capacity, and really fell in love with the mission and the vision of the Institute, and got more deeply involved, and now I'm here for the entire time.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure.
And you have come through a process like that yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yeah. You know, I'm an old woman now, but in my younger years, when I first began wanting to mount my operas on stage. I've always written opera since the time I was a child, but it's one thing to compose an opera, it's another thing to put the opera through a production situation with professional singers and a good audience.
Yes.
Outside of the academic world, where it's pure, it's true. If you have written a comedic moment in your opera, you don't know if it works until you have an audience.
Exactly, and that you can feel that audience reaction out there, even if it's not audible sometimes.
It's really true, and it's something that composers talk about all the time, is how do you sense the energy of an audience interacting with your work. And as you and I are speaking, I'm making a Mobius curve, an infinity curve with my hand, because you can, as a composer, you do. If you don't feel that energy coming back to the stage, and then the stage giving energy back to the audience, there's something wrong with the piece.
And that sort of energy, that sort of feedback helps in the creative process, which is just what this is all about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is an opportunity for composers, most of them very young, but some of them, who have written quite a bit in their lifetime, but have not really gone through the production process. This is an opportunity for these composers to bring their work, mostly scenes of their work, and get the kind of attention from professionals who've been at it quite a long time that the work needs. So they bring their work. We composers, we put them through composer boot camp. The librettists put them through librettist boot camp, and the singers and directors bring their work to life on stage. Yeah. Very different than on the page.
Oh, yes. It must be an invaluable opportunity, because you can, as you know, as a composer, you can hear it in your mind, but until it comes out on stage, especially with vocal music, I think, you really don't know what it sounds like.
You really don't. What you don't know as a composer are the practicalities of actually being on stage, how long it takes a singer to cross the diagonal of the stage. It might be 7 seconds, but you in your mind just have them crossing, and so you've written 3 seconds of music for them to cross. And once you begin to work with, same with dance, once you begin to put bodies on the stage and move them around, then you, as a composer, begin to understand certain kinds of timing, and what might actually need to be there on the page to facilitate that kind of timing.
You can remember, and I can remember years ago, when there were some composers who were being deliberately obtuse and trying to almost threaten the audiences. I think we're past that now, and I think some of these younger composers really are enjoying the luxury of lyricism, and they're not afraid of it anymore.
That is true. Every one of our 7 fellows has a real love for lyricism, each in his or her own way.
That is very encouraging to hear. And there are divergent musical viewpoints coming together here.
Yes.
It must be very exciting.
It is a fiesta, in that we at the Institute we create a safe environment, meaning nobody is here to criticize each other's work in terms of style.
Right.
Which and everybody that is part of the Institute is more interested in the piece itself. How can this piece get better, basically, and raised to a level of professional standards. And we have a sense of a community, that I'm not just the only composer, who's writing opera in St. Louis. It turns out there are hundreds of us, probably not thousands, but hundreds of us all over the country and all over the world. And we are a community of interest and talent, working like satellites out in space.